Today's episode is brought to you by the Tax Defense Group. Tax season is here, and that means that it's time to file. Instead of going through the hassle of walking into an H&R Block, you can call the experts at the Tax Defense Group. They can handle your tax filing anywhere. Also, for a limited time, if you're a W-2 employee, you can save half off your filing. All you have to do is call the Tax Defense Group before April 15th, 2020, and mention that you saw this ad on UCAS Studios. Call the Tax Defense Group today at 800-850-7973. That number again is 800-850-7973, and you can visit them online at thetaxdefensegroup.com. Today's episode is brought to you by Writer Junkie. There are millions of good-paying jobs out there, and what might be holding you back from getting one of them is having an up-to-date, well-written resume. Writer Junkie offers a resume writing service for the low cost of $145, and with only a 3-day turnaround, you can't beat that price and delivery time. Call Writer Junkie today at 805-587-7966, and you can visit them online at writerjunkie.com. Mention that you saw this ad on UCAS Studios, and they'll get right to work. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode of the Lakers Outsiders weekly podcast brought to you by UCAS Studios. I'm your host, Gary Kester, here with you as always. We are now day number 3,472 whatever without basketball. It's been tough. It's been really, really tough to not have any sports, not have basketball especially, and to not have Lakers basketball, especially after, coming off those two big wins against the Bucks and the Clippers. Even with the loss to the Nets, I mean, it's been tough. It's been tough. I miss basketball. I know you guys miss basketball. So hopefully this podcast can keep you going a little bit until maybe hopefully we get it back sooner rather than later. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, so I'm actually this is going to be kind of a two-part podcast. I don't know if this will be, I think I say this about every podcast, but I don't know exactly how long this one will be. It might not be very long. It might be like 20 minutes or so. But this is just going to be basically a two-part podcast, giving you 2 episodes this week. And basically, I was going to record this with Hani and Madian, but our schedules just haven't lined up. Stuff going on, with everything that's going on. Just didn't line up, but I am going to be doing a 2-part Mailbag podcast. So I'll answer half the questions on this one and then half on the other one. So stay tuned for that. But before I jump in, as always, guys, be sure to like this video and subscribe to UCAS Studios and Lakers Outsiders on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow me on Twitter at Gary Kester. That's GaryKester. You can follow Lakers Outsiders on Twitter at Lakers Outsiders and Instagram as well. And like us on Facebook and get all of our content on LakersOutsiders.com. And another thing with these podcasts during the NBA hiatus, if you guys have any ideas of what you would like me to talk about, feel free to leave them in a comment or tweet them at me or whatever. Just communicate them however you would like, because I'm probably going to need ideas before too long on what exactly to talk about. So I love getting questions to answer on the pod, but I'll accept topics as well that you guys would like me to discuss. So feel free to do that. All right, with that, let's dive into these questions here. I haven't really looked these over closely. I just kind of ran through them real briefly. So you might get some real-time analysis here and real-time answers. So first one is, would you rather have the NBA back if it meant Rajon Rondo starting for the Lakers and playing 36 minutes per game playoffs included. Oh my goodness. Man, that's a tough one because I desperately want basketball back. But I feel like if I say yes to this question, I'm basically saying yes to the Lakers losing. I don't think the Rondo playing 36 minutes a game is a recipe for a championship. And I think the Lakers would get put out by somebody. And so I'm going to say no. I'd rather wait 3 months, 4 months, whatever, and get a Lakers championship than start it right now and then watch them lose in the playoffs. So maybe that's just me. I don't know. I'm desperate to have basketball back, but I'm also not desperate to see the Lakers lose. So no. All right. Next question is, at which day? What is with the Rondo questions? At which day did you start missing Rondo playing basketball? That day has not come yet. Has not come, and I don't think it's anywhere particularly close at the moment. So, yeah, I mean, I miss basketball as much as the next fan. I miss Lakers basketball as much as the next fan. But Rondo, anybody that's listened to this podcast for even a few weeks understands my frustration with Rondo, the current version of Rondo. I used to like Rondo's game a lot. I hated that he played for the Celtics, but man, back in the day, I loved his game. Just hated the team that he played for. And it just hasn't evolved with how the game's evolved. And I mean, he has flashes here and there, don't get me wrong. I mean, he's not always terrible, but I'm just not a fan. And I don't care how many Rondo questions you guys ask me. The answer is probably always going to be no to some extent regarding Rajon Rondo. So, no, I don't miss watching Rondo play basketball. In all honesty, that's been one of the few positives of this NBA hiatus is I haven't had to watch Rondo play basketball and miss Kyle Kuzma on a cut or watch his defender sag into the paint because he's not going to guard Rondo at all. No, I still don't miss it. Maybe one day, but not yet. Hasn't been long enough for that. Okay. Next question is, what have you used to fill the sports void and how has it impacted how the sleep hits? Oh, if you guys follow Raj, Unwritten Rules on Twitter, you'll understand the sleep hits reference. But if you don't, look him up. I miss those sleep hits. Sleep hits different tweets that we see, especially coming off a Laker win. So I'd like to have those back. But what have I used to fill the sports void and how has it impacted how the sleep hits? The sleep hasn't been very good. It feels weird not having sports. I feel like my life's been thrown for a loop. What have I used to fill the sports void? It's been a lot of TV shows, movies, trying to do at-home workouts, playing some video games. I haven't played video games in forever, like probably years and years, probably at least a few years at least, and started playing them the other day. And I was playing some Madden. Realized how terrible I am. I used to be really good at that game, but I need some Lakers basketball back because I can't keep living this way. I just need sports in general. Like NFL free agency was cool for a little bit, and now it's just like completely dead. And the draft's coming up. Who knows? I mean, that's gonna be kind of weird not having anybody there, and it's just kind of like over a broadcast or whatever. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I've probably been doing the same thing that a lot of people have been doing. Just Netflix. I've tried to just limit myself to make essential trips, so I've been staying at home unless I have to go to the grocery store or go to work, gas station, get gas, whatever. So it's been a lot of looking at a screen, either my phone or the TV. So, need sports back in a hurry. All right, next question. Which Laker seems like they'd be the best cook? I think I'd have to say Rondo on this one, because I've heard the stories. There was like the article that was written on him about how he would like bake cookies for teammates and stuff like that. So I would imagine his culinary talents go beyond just baking cookies. It sounds like he's pretty good in the kitchen and knows how to cook some stuff and make some good food. So I'd have to say Rondo. I mean, if you want to, I mean, you could say Quinn Cook because it's in his last name. Quinn seems like he'd be a good cook too, though. I don't know why. He just kind of has that vibe to him. But I'm going to have to say Rondo in this one. I'll use this question to give Rondo a little bit of love just because, I mean, I never do, but I do know, we've heard those stories of Rondo whipping some stuff up in the kitchen, and I would imagine he's got a pretty wide range of talents when it comes to cooking food. So I'm going to say Rondo. I don't know. I mean, a lot of these guys probably honestly hire a personal chef or something like that, but yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna go with Rondo. I could be way off on that though. Maybe he's just good at baking cookies. Who knows? All right. Which Laker has the best home gym? Non-LeBron AD edition. So not LeBron or Anthony Davis. Which Laker has the best home gym? I would think. I'm trying to think of like players that have made the most money over the course of their career. I guess you could probably say you could say Rondo. Danny Green makes $15 million a year though, so I would think he's got a pretty sweet gym. So I'm gonna probably go with Danny Green just because, I mean, he's been making double digit millions per year for quite some time now. I think he was making like $10 million a year on his last Spurs contract that obviously ended with the Raptors. But now he's making $15 million a year. So I would think Danny's got a pretty sweet gym set up at his home because he certainly can afford it. So I'm gonna go with Danny Green on that one. I'm not gonna say Rondo's name again for another question unless I have to. Which Laker would you most want to be quarantined with, and then the least? Oh man. Most, I would probably say LeBron. LeBron is just like a giant goofball, but he also would have like the best gym set up. Probably just an unbelievable house. Like, I'm assuming we're staying at his house. Like if we're quarantined, so he'd just have everything I would need. So plus, like I said, LeBron's like just a lot of fun. Like he's got a fun personality. You'd have tacos every Tuesday still. So. Yeah, I mean, I think LeBron would probably have the best setup to be quarantined with. Who would I least want to be quarantined with, though? Man, these are some hard-hitting questions. Least, I would probably say Dwight Howard, just because Dwight's probably a lot of fun, but he seems like the type of guy. Of course, this version of Dwight's been a lot more mature, so I'll give him credit for that. But I feel like if you're quarantined with him, he's gonna pull so many pranks on you, and I don't know, that would get under my skin after a while. So I'd probably say Dwight, but I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure. I'll give LeBron the best, and then the best person to be quarantined with, and then Caruso is probably honorable mention. Caruso just seems like a cool guy. I'd like to hang out with Caruso. Least for me, I think would be Dwight because of the reasons that I mentioned. I think that would be very interesting, and it would certainly test my patience. So, all right, I got a couple more questions to get to on this version, and we'll wrap this thing up. Like I said, probably not going to be overly long. I'm going to basically break this up into two parts. But before I get to the last couple of questions here, I am going to take a quick break and give you a word from our sponsors. Today's episode is brought to you by the Tax Defense Group. Tax season is here, and that means that it's time to file. Instead of going through the hassle of walking into an H&R Block, you can call the experts at the Tax Defense Group. They can handle your tax filing anywhere. Also, for a limited time, if you're a W-2 employee, you can save half off your filing. All you have to do is call the Tax Defense Group before April 15th, 2020, and mention that you saw this ad on UCAS Studios. Call the Tax Defense Group today at 800-850-7973. That number again is 800-850-7973, and you can visit them online at thetaxdefensegroup.com. Today's episode is brought to you by Writer Junkie. There are millions of good-paying jobs out there, and what might be holding you back from getting one of them is having an up-to-date, well-written resume. Writer Junkie offers a resume writing service for the low cost of $145, and with only a 3-day turnaround, you can't beat that price and delivery time. Call Writer Junkie today at 805-587-7966, and you can visit them online at writerjunkie.com. Mention that you saw this ad on UCAS Studios, and they'll get right to work. Okay, so I've got one more question to wrap up this podcast, and it was actually a question sent to me by a friend of mine, it's actually Laker related and actually I thought it was actually kind of a good question, but basically my buddy asked me, which Laker would you most want on your side in a fight? Asked me current Lakers and all-time Lakers. So current Lakers for me would be Markieff Morris. I didn't really have to think too hard about that one. Markieff's a guy I think you definitely want on your side in a fight. So all-time though, I wish I was a little older to answer this question because, back in the 70s and 80s, the game was probably a lot more physical than it is now. So you'd probably get some better names back then, from back then. Since I'm 27 years old, I was born in 1992. I'll stick to kind of my lifetime of Lakers basketball. And for me, it's from that entire span, I'd have to say Metta World Peace. Back with when he was Metta or Ron Artest, whatever you want to call him, he was a bad dude. He was a bad dude that you don't want to mess with. A dude that ran into the freaking stands at the Palace, just not a guy you want to mess with. So I would say him. Matt Barnes, I think, was a good one too, which surprisingly, was lucky enough to meet Matt Barnes once, and he was super nice. Super nice guy, unless you give him reason not to be. So, I'll go with Metta World Peace / Ron Artest, because, like I said, that's not a guy you want to mess with. So, all right, that's going to do it for this part of the podcast. I'm going to answer the remaining questions on the next podcast, so stay tuned for that. As always, guys, be sure to like this video and subscribe to UCAS Studios and Lakers Outsiders on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow Lakers Outsiders on Twitter and Instagram at Lakers Outsiders, and you can like us on Facebook, and then you can follow me on Twitter at Gary Kester. Again, like I mentioned earlier, feel free to send me questions that you want answered on the pod, or just ideas of topics you want me to talk about on the podcast, because if the NBA is going to be out for a couple months, I'm probably going to run out of material. So some suggestions are greatly, greatly welcome. And you can leave those in a YouTube comment or tweet them at me, DM them to me, whatever you need to do. So, yeah. All right. That's going to do it for this one. Again, stay tuned for part 2 of this Mailbag podcast. And until then, this is Gary Kester with the Lakers Outsiders, signing off.